All right, James, we're live.
Okay, thanks, John.
You got it. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I think well rested after this exhausting weekend. Yeah, this whirlwind, as you
It's
called
a
it.
whirlwind. Yeah, whirlwind with the full moon whirlwind. So, well, I tell you, with the whirlwind and everything going on and the planets the way they are, it's like, okay, it's like a roller coaster ride. So I was like, whoa.
It feels like it.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yes, it
So let me
does.
put my glasses on so I can see something. Okay.
All right.
Okay. We
I
have
love you.
comments coming in. Okay.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Good to be with you again. Oh, I have everybody. Okay. Wow. Okay. Stacy, Tammy, Rose, Carrie, April, Gail. Hi, everyone. I think of you guys every week. I mean, I know I do this only one day a week on Mondays, but I carry with you. I carry myself with you, you with me, thinking about you, sending out thoughts. And Friday, if any of you were at that meeting Friday, we did readings Friday night, mediumship readings, and I thought it went really well, John. Huh?
Yes, it really was. And you were glowing and on fire with the details that were
It-
coming through.
It's
Yeah.
because of this activation of the
Yeah.
Lionsgate portal, which is happening right now. It's on July
Yeah.
31st, and August 8th is a pinnacle, and it means that the star Sirius is kind of in alignment with the Earth, and Sirius supposedly is the spiritual sun. So at this time of the year, once a year, August the 8th, and August the 8th is a Leo. It's in the sign of Leo, which is all about the heart energy. And August 8th, the alignment is so connected with the spiritual realms and the Earth physical realms that supposedly there is a opening of a channel of energy showering the earth with the light of the spiritual realm. So there's manifestation, there's activation of the DNA, and it's so intense and incredible and healing and manifestation that I'm going to do on August the 8th, this Saturday. I'm going to be doing a special 1 hour activation, meditation, transmission.
Okay.
We're going to get in touch with our guides, but we're going to also bring people to the space of receiving the energy, of feeling the healing of the energy, and also then connecting with the guides. And the third part's going to be manifestation, setting the seeds into the universe of what you want. So that's Saturday, it's the activation. So Lionsgate activation, everybody should look it up and see it. We're going to put it on Facebook later today, but it's an incredible time. And I felt the energy already, John. I know you have.
I have, yes.
Yeah, and the full moon energy was like, whoa, and the 5 planets
Oh, yeah.
retrograde, whoa, and then on top of it, all the thing going on in the world, whoa, the epidemic, whoa, it's like
It's like
pinball,
a
pinball.
roller coaster with many hills and loops. Yeah.
Yes, E-Ride, yeah, E-Ride. So I just wanted to, we're gonna do some questions today, but I first want to start off by, I was at the store on Friday, it's Thursday or Friday. I go to a little store where I live, which is great because not many people are there, and it's great, and it's expensive, but it's worth it for not a lot of people. And I remember from that point on, well, I do this a lot, but I was very conscious of it, that during this time of this pandemic, I've been maybe aware 2 months now. What I do every day when I go out of my house and I have to deal with the public, interact with the people, even though we're behind masks, right? I make sure that I will do what I usually do, but maybe more impressive. That I impress love and I impress happiness with each person I meet because I know that everybody's stressed out and freaking out. So I make sure that I smile, which you can't see my smile with a mask, but I send them, hi, how are you? Oh, I love what those daffodils you picked up. They're beautiful. And the lady would say, oh, I said, yes, they go with this certain flower. Or the other day at this market, I said to the lady at the checkout, and I said, "Wow, this is great. Nobody's here. It feels great." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Isn't this wonderful?" She goes, "Oh, yes, it's great." And I said, "Yeah, and the energy's good. No one's really here." She goes, "I kind of like it." I said, "Yeah, I do too." So anyway,
Mhm.
you get involved in people. You send love, however you can get into their space, whether it's how are you today, or whatever comment you can make that in some ways throws them to pay attention to you. And that they don't get comment because there's so much stress and people are angry. A lot of people are angry. And I think if we can change that one person at a time, and I thought I would tell it to everyone here on my page because you're the people that I'm help. I want you to help other people. So we shower everybody with love, and it
Mhm.
doesn't matter where you are, whether in a parking lot of a Target, whether it's in a store, whether it's in a gas station. If you're interacting with people, make it positive, because there's that ripple effect that you can be positive to that person, and they're going to be like, "Wow, that person was really nice." Because right now we're stressed out, and a lot
Right.
of people are not nice; they're freaking out. So it's our job right now to turn it upside down, bring light where there's darkness, bring
Mhm.
really happiness now, and we got to do that with the rippling effect. So please start everybody in the group to start today with everybody you're going to meet. Bring positivity. Okay, that's it.
All right. So we'll do some Q&As as well,
Yeah,
right?
we'll do the Q's and A's.
All right. So I will wait for some to come in. I'm
That
sure
was
we'll
great
get
Friday night, everybody. If you missed it, it was phenomenal. I even think it was phenomenal. The couple in, well, there was a man in Liverpool. He
yeah.
sounded like John Lennon. I thought, oh my God, he sounds like John Lennon, doesn't he? From Liverpool, and his two girls, and his wife came through. So beautiful,
Yeah, a
so
lot of
nice.
mothers and son connections as well.
Mother and son, yeah,
Yeah.
mother and son connections.
Mhm.
Okay,
Those were powerful
yeah,
too. Mhm.
yeah. They were all. I don't remember, a lot of them afterwards, but that was a
Yeah.
good night. I mean, I remember
Mhm.
was spirit was right here, and the veil is so thin that they came in so easily. It was so
Right. And
so
Dana
easy.
really helped facilitate everything. That was beautiful. Yeah.
Isn't Dana wonderful?
Yes. Yes, she is.
She's an amazing goddess, and she's going to do some yoga courses at my school, and she's we're gonna do workshops. We're gonna do the first retreat I do when we're able to go out and go into the public again. I'm gonna
Mhm.
do a cruise to the Greek islands with her.
Ooh.
She used to be a yoga instructor for all the yoga teachers around the country. She was
Oh,
the
wow.
person, and she's just so wise, and it's just she's just
Yeah.
full of it. Wasn't meditation just incredible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
grounding, because we need a lot of grounding right now this time, so she really facilitated that grounding. Boy,
mhm.
and she has all those on her website. So danademora.com. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Oh,
All right. So let's see here. Rebecca has a question. Does the pandemic have anything to do with the veil being so thin? And
no,
what is
it's
the
two
veil?
different things. Two different things. So the veil is the line. Well, there's always a well. How can I describe it? Because it's in essence it's between the dimensions. It's that
Mhm.
I see a barrier or line of energies. It's again,
Mhm.
we can just think of it altered states of consciousness levels opening up. So there might be the level of around us is expanding, if you will.
Mhm.
The Earth is expanding. The density is lightening up, so which means it expands it. So when the density lightens up, that's why the frequency feels quicker because it's going fast. It is. It's going faster. So
Mhm.
as it's expanding here, which it is right now, it's not as dense. It's opening up, so you're quicker and you're going closer to that veil, to the spirit world. So it's almost interacting even more so. So you'll get a lot more coincidences, right? A lot more things that happen sporadically,
Mhm.
a lot of surprises. And then on top of that, you have astrologically, you have 5 planets in retrograde. And as our good friend Kelly White says, retrogrades are like wild cards, things like that
Right.
moment. So we have all that going on. See, the pandemic is separate, believe it or not. But again, I often say that there's no accident. So I know that the pandemic, of course, this was planned who knows how many eons ago,
Yeah.
but that will force people to go within themselves and how they deal with their own souls in this time. So it's
Mm.
very interesting how it's all kind of integrated. And if we let ourselves be open to that higher energy, it will help ourselves to make the right choices, to behave the correct way, to be more observational. Because I think that's
Mhm.
the best way to be is observational, so you can get pulled in emotionally to it.
Right.
So use this time for activation to be to use your higher self for all your choices.
Yes. Observe, don't absorb.
I love you say that. It's so true, John.
It's a
Absorb.
yeah, it's
Yes.
a pretty well-known phrase for empaths these days, I think.
And Dana she wrote a couple of books and she has some great ones in her book. I wrote some of them down. NO means next opportunity.
I like
No.
that one. Yeah.
And you vibe with your tribe. Another
Yes.
one. She has a
Yeah.
bunch of them in her book. So we'll
Yes.
be seeing a lot more of her. Yeah.
All right. So Jean is taking you way back, James. She says, "What was the moment when you realized that this work was your soul's mission?"
Wow, that's way back. That's probably back when I was 24 years old. Yeah,
Wow.
when I first realized that what it was I was gosh, I guess you could say I was seeing a medium and developing with this medium, Brian Hurst,
Mhm.
and I was 24, 25, I think. And I remember we sat in the development circle, and the spirit worlds came to my guides came to me, several of my guides at the time, but I was brand new to it, and they said, if you work with us, we will always take care of you, we'll always support you. And that was 40 years ago, and I remember I was working at Paramount Studios in a really nice managerial job, creating contracts for the syndication shows, and I had good benefits, insurance, the whole bit. And I was living in an apartment up at Hollywood and Vine. Ta-da!
Mhm.
And I remember that that was the moment where I thought, okay, I have a choice here, and I knew I was being tested, the spirit, because it always tests you, of my faith. So, which we were tested a lot with our faith throughout our lifetime, and that was another one. I was tested once when I had to move to California. We were always tested, but I knew it. It's kind of like I knew the secret here. They're testing me, and before I had any really relationship with them, and they said to me, "We'll always take care of you if you just do the work." And I total faith. I said, okay. Next step, I went into Paramount, quit Paramount, not knowing how I'd get any money, knowing that how I'd pay my rent, how to get groceries. But I trusted them, and I had readings, and it was all by word of mouth. The first 5, 6, 10 years, it was all word of mouth, and that was really how I
Wow.
started. And that's I knew that then this was my soul's mission because I knew that this information that I was receiving, that the healing, the love that came through
Mhm.
and gave to the loved one there from their loved one in spirit, there
Mm.
was nothing greater to me that could be realized. So I thought I knew that was it.
Wow. So love, surrender, and trust.
Yeah, and I knew that was I was a vessel right away. I just knew it.
Wow. Speaking of love, Liz goes, how does one specifically coach people about love? Currently being coached by Jeff Adler, your friend Jeff, and
Yeah.
looking for a specific niche. Spreading love is what speaks to my soul.
So, Liz, the main thing here I want to say to you, and Liz, I know you. Yeah, Jeff mentioned you. Yes, congratulations. Jeff
Yeah.
mentioned your name. Yes, and we've talked about you, Liz. So you're in great hands with Jeff. So what this is, of course, a journey, Liz, is a patience for you. You've got to be patient with one day to the next, which is love. Don't rush into doing the coach right now and doing yourself, going out there. Let it manifest. Let it open up. Let's see what happens with you. I think that you need to get into something about how you can demonstrate love to others in an easy way. And share that with people and let yourself, Liz, be open to a different way of showing that, a different way of working, perhaps. Yeah. So maybe you find a different aspect of a soul and you can work with people that way. So maybe let's say anger and how you can turn anger into love. And that's just one, you start with that and that will evolve into different tools you can create, how you can look at people. I like another one, Liz, which is great. You can use this too. I see God in each person. So have your people see God in each person. So before you do that, you have to see God in each person. You have to see that love in each person. And really you want to go into like a kaleidoscope. Okay, I'm just throwing this at you, Liz, whatever sticks. Like a kaleidoscope, in that everybody you meet is God, but they're all different. So
Mhm.
it's the diversification of people, whether they're from different countries, different languages, different skin tone. Doesn't matter. They're all God, but it's within themselves that God experience that everybody can learn. So God is love, and love comes in all different aspects and facets. So look at it that way and start looking at it that way. Don't be very black and white. Don't be linear. Open up to the roundness of it. But also with you, let yourself enjoy that journey
Mhm.
of excavation, the art of discovery, about how you yourself will be aligned to use that the spirit people can use you as a vessel and bring love to others, share love to others. Maybe it's about judgment. Maybe people are locked into judgment. Maybe people are locked into their past as a child. They were programmed a certain way, and most people continue being programmed and become doormats. Now that's something, Liz, which is good because that's an old paradigm now. Because I
Mhm.
think people now are ready to shift that away and take back their power. So that's a whole thing you can look into that way. Okay, so
And she
whatever sounds good. Yeah,
yeah,
John.
and she radiates love. I mean, Liz is
Yeah,
just a
Liz
beam
is great.
of love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Liz, your reputation precedes you. So
Yes.
just so you know, we all talk about you.
Yes. So Melinda's saying, what can we do to utilize this energy to help us develop our gifts? I'm a newbie just in the studying and practice stage. Well, the school's a great start for that,
School,
right?
yeah, definitely do the
Yeah.
school. The school's the best thing to
Mhm.
do. The Psychic Portal is a great course to take. The first intuitive course, certification course is great. Wet your feet. Don't be impatient, right? So it's all in
Mhm.
the process. I learned more in the development than I did as a medium. So it was in the practice, in the process of learning who I am as a soul. So again, like I said to Liz, take this time to learn about who you are. How
Mhm.
do you function? It's not, you can't do a soul bypass, a spiritual bypass. Doesn't happen, and it shouldn't happen because there's so much to mine there. There's so much beauty. There's so much love to your soul, and there's so many different aspects of your soul and self-discovery. What I'm going to throw at you, sweetheart, is exactly what I tell everybody: go in the closet. and sit there every day for 15 minutes and just use the breath, bringing in and exhaling, and that's it. And wait for the onion to be the skin to be peeled away, because the more you just sit in quiet and stillness, you'll give the spirit people that time and space to open you up, and open you up to your own soul, and let your soul provide to you the information, the love, what you're going to do. So that's really, you don't want to get impatient. We start very slowly with that. Doing that and bring yourself to stillness, and slowly learning to trust your soul and hear its voice of intuition. That's what you want to do. Again, it's a slow pace. It's not rushed. And start with a course too with that. That'd be the best advice.
And Jobaya says, in the situation of adoption, do the birth parents and adoptive parents know each other on the other side? Do they plan
Yes,
this together?
100%. It's a curriculum. It's a course that they take, without a doubt, 100%. And I've 6 months ago, I guess it was, maybe a lot longer. I did a reading in somewhere, and an audience, and I think it was Colorado, and a man in the audience stood up, and his adopted mother and father were behind him, who had passed over, and they came through and they said, "We have a gift for you," and they brought with them his natural mother and father, and they all said it was a plan, as most the whole adoptions are. And the mother said to tell her, she was talking to her son. She said, "Please, please look at it differently. It wasn't that I didn't want you. These whole 50 years, you thought I never wanted you and gave you away. Not at all." She said, "I wanted a better life for you because I loved you so much. I wanted you to have a better life. That's why I had to give you to someone else." And it made a big difference to that man's life from that point on. And it's definitely lessons in adoption. It's all lessons that we're learning. So whether it's adopted, whether it's abandonment issues, whatever it might be, they're all lessons that we're learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Betty's saying, when we open our third eye, should we hear a humming sound and see colors?
Maybe, maybe you will. Not everyone will. So that's a part of it. Some people receive differently when they're opening the third eye, or they're opening up their clairaudience, which is the psychic ear. You might
Mhm.
hear buzzing, you might hear sounds. It's different for every single person. So when I was a little boy, I used to see spirit lights. You see lights at the corner of my eyes before I went to sleep at night. So it happens so differently with everyone because everyone's so different. But that is indeed something. I would keep a journal and write down your experiences as you're opening up, and date it, and then write down the experiences. You'll be surprised in 2 years when you look back at that. You can say, "Wow, I've really come a long way," or "Wow, I stopped here. I should have gone further," or "Wow, I was questioning myself. I should have been more open." So that's good to keep a journal of it. See how you develop.
Okay. Let's see here. Next question. Wow, so many coming in.
I'm going to, yes, I will change the graphic. I promise you, it'll be a beard. It won't be a mustache.
What?
I look at the graphic. It was me with a mustache. I'm like, what? Now it's changed to James Starseeds, and that's a beard.
Okay, well, we get this question keeps coming through. Jordan is saying, do you still work with that policewoman from the film Talking to Heaven?
Oh, that's a really interesting one. Yeah, that movie was based upon a case I did many, many years ago. I used to work with the police and FBI and different organizations, on a secret level, not known publicly. But I used to work kidnap cases. I used to work missing cases, and the last case I did, I kind of used that in the movie. But the last case I did was a missing girl in New Orleans, outside New Orleans, 3 years old. And I had the vision of this man driving a car and hitting her. She was in the front seat, and then it hopped to when he hit her, killed her. He buried her. He hit her with a shovel over her head and buried her in the middle of a swampy area. And that was the last reading I ever did with that because it was way too heavy. So I didn't do that. Years later, probably about 10 years ago, I worked with I said with Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight, every one of those. And we went down to a case down, I think it was New Jersey, I'm not sure. And I brought three other mediums with me, or missing person people. And they're quite good. What I did was I gave everybody the information about the girl that was missing, some the details that was known publicly, and then I had each of them go to their own room, and then we came back in the war room, I guess you call it, and I wrote down on the board what each one picked up. It was very, very interesting because each person picked up an ex-boyfriend, and each medium picked up that she's buried in the boyfriend's backyard,
Mm,
behind the shed. We all got that. Now the problem we gave it to the police was they said we can't get on that property. We said, why? Because we're not allowed to without a warrant. We have to have good reason why. Well, we all picked up it's there. That's where she is. So it was an interesting one because the girl was out running and her ex-boyfriend picked her up in the street and brought her back to his place. And the rest is history, I guess. But that was the last time I did that one. That was a while ago. I don't do that anymore. I'm not in touch with them. No.
well,
That
okay.
was a good movie. Talking to Heaven was based on my first book, Talking to Heaven, starring Ted Danson, who plays me.
Yeah.
and because Tom Selleck wasn't available. No. But it was a really interesting movie because it was the number one CBS miniseries in the history of CBS, except for the movie Jesus, which was
Wow.
number one. And it's because of that movie that Ghost Whisperer came about.
Wow.
It was that movie, and then we did another one with Anne Heche, based on one of my readings about a ring that was missing. And then we did Ghost Whisperer. They said to me, "Can you come up with another series?" And I said, "Yeah." So that's what Ghost Whisperer was born through that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Kim is saying, James, besides being with you on Saturday, what can we do in the meantime to take advantage of the Lionsgate's energy?
Oh, so every day I'm whether I'm walking my doggy or I'm gardening or even driving the car, I just put myself in that space of receiving light and healing and letting go of toxic, letting go of old energy, letting go of people's stuff, their drama. I don't want anyone. So many people are dramas right now. There's so much acting going on. There's so many shows happening that I'm not going to be the brunt of people's drama. And a lot of people do because if you're the light, they want that light. So if they're going through, I've noticed a lot of people going through a lot of rough times and dark things, like they can't get out of this position that they're in. They can't get the job. They have to leave the job, but they can't, or they have a hard relationship, or whatever it might be. And I was noticing that I'm in the middle of it. They come to me and I'm like, wait a minute, no, no, no.
Mm,
I'm finding a lot of people right now won't stand up for take responsibility for their actions. They won't take responsibility. They won't stand up and take responsibility. A lot of people seem I around me feeling very entitled to different things. It's like, wait a minute, you owe me this or whatever it might be.
mm,
So it's time to say bye bye to that old way of being and letting go. It's a good time of letting go. So
mm,
cleansing. Just think of the cleansing as you're driving, as you're walking, cleansing, as you're exercising, cleansing. Using that light, that beautiful spiritual light. It's incredible. It's an amazing amount of love. I just think it's in some ways it's limiting to us because we're in this human limited level, if you will.
mm.
So I think it's almost like it happens and to me like a different room because I can't see it all, but you can feel the love. But that's what you should want to do for the next couple of days till Saturday. Do that and cleansing and just getting rid of those, just having the thought of getting rid of toxicity, getting rid of imbalance, bring yourself to balance and healing and love. That's what you got to do
Oh,
till
wow.
Saturday. Yeah.
Yes. That's also people
Saturday's
ask
gonna
me,
be intensely. I didn't want to do this. Spirit came and they said, I think it was Friday, maybe John, during our
yeah,
mediumship, and they said, "You got to do this for us." I'm okay, and they rarely will say that. So you have to help these people. So Saturday, so I'm going to do it. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea, but I'm just going to channel the whole thing, and
right.
yeah, it'll start with meditation. Then it'll be it's going to be meeting with their guides. I heard transmission with their guides. So okay,
Okay.
so transmission with the guides. The third part's going to be manifestation. So sending out the seeds to the universe.
Right. And that is on August 8th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. For those who
Yeah.
are interested, you can
And
go
that'll
to.
be a Zoom call like this. It'll be a Zoom
Mhm.
call. You'll have a link or something, right, John?
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Definitely. We'll put that up. So let's see here. Moving on to our next question. So we're getting a lot of personal questions. So James is not doing readings at the moment. That will
No.
be on not next Friday, but the Friday after. So because we always give him 1 week off in
It's
between
so
to recharge.
intense. I mean, and I go over like it's supposed to be about an hour and a half, John, isn't it?
Yeah, I usually do
I think I
2
did 3 hours of the night. It
hours.
was like, whoa.
Yeah.
We go over a lot because
Yes.
you have to when you're in the vibe and and you're helping people and there's so much love in that room. You just want to stay there. So we do it. We go
Right.
over. We go over.
Right. And for those just joining us, it's going to be a Lionsgate portal activation on Saturday, August 8th at 1 p.m. Specific time. So that's going to be, yeah. So that's what.
And we'll put it on the website. We'll put it on Facebook this week too, so you'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the details will be there. We'll have the link at where we always do at vanprog.com/events. And you can just click the events button when you get there and you'll see everything there. Okay. So let's see here. Yes. Lots of people asking about Saturday. All right. So we just
Yeah.
answered that. So they're on a bit of a delay. So we'll go ahead and continue on here. Um, all right. But here we go. So this is a really good comment, actually. Darcy is saying, I recently removed a few toxic people from my life. At times I feel guilty for doing it, but I had to do it.
Oh, good belief you get back to your power, sweetheart. Good
Yeah.
for you. It's getting back to your power and not letting people take advantage of you. And especially at this time, people want to hold on to you for their own security, which is an illusion. They can't. They have to hold on to themselves. So you're actually doing a good thing by saying, no boundaries. Sorry, I'm not sorry. That's not me. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard because, there could be friends of yours, there could be good times, but for their own security, their own safety, for their own good, and for your own good, you got to say, nope. Nope, sorry. There's a funny saying on this TV show, and it was on Pose, and he said, "Not today, devil, not today." And it's just I noticed it too. I just said goodbye to 3 or 4 people last week, and it
Yeah.
was like it's a freeing. So when you let go of toxicity, you're opening up that space for more of that vibration of love and healing and who you are,
Mhm.
to get your vibe. You know, you vibe with your tribe. So it gives you. I got rid of one girl, and her name was Dana, and she was taking advantage of me, and worked with me. And then that exact day, when I said goodbye to her, a new Dana came in, and she was this healer, incredible healer we had the other night, and it's
Yeah.
amazing how quick things manifest. But you let go, and you're allowing yourself to receive when you do that. You're allowing yourself. I'm worth higher truths. I'm worth higher love. I
Yeah.
deserve it. So think of it that way too,
It's interesting they have the same name because it makes
isn't it? We
yeah,
love spirit. We love the
right?
magic of the
It's like
universe.
not all
Oh,
Danas are the same, so
no, it's true. It's really, really true. And I
yeah.
love that people put you into. I don't. I'm sure everyone experienced this, but sometimes with me because of known unknown, I'm put into a box. I'm put in a certain. People think of you a
Mhm.
certain way,
Right.
and you're not that way. It's like no,
Mhm.
I don't. That's not who I am. So don't make that up. I'm not that way. I don't do
Yeah.
this. That's not who I am. So shame on you to assume things. It's I'm not who I am. People sometimes assume that I'm this wonderful person that rides around with a magic carpet ride and purple robes and a white beard. I'm really not.
I think
I'm
you're
a,
talking about James Starseed.
that's right. James Starseed does. That's our TV show we're putting on the YouTube we're working on
Right.
right now. But
Right.
yeah, it's weird because people kind of put you in a box or a pedestal, and I just don't belong in a pedestal. I'm just an. People often say, you know, you're really so down to earth. You're just so funny. I'm like, well, I am. I'm not. I'm not better than anybody else. I may listen a little bit more and hear, you know, and see. But listen, I learn from everybody, and we have to learn from each other. And the moment we don't have that sense and that grounding, that humility, I mean, what good is it? We can't be so spiritually aware that we're no earthly good. You know, we're
Right.
here to work and help each. We have to help each other out. You
Right.
know,
Not the spiritual bypass everything, yeah.
you
So
can't do spiritual bypass. No,
speaking of Starseed, though, you've got the Starseed
oh yeah,
event coming up. That's on the 11th. That's
it's gonna
Tuesday,
be great,
and
Kelly.
that's with the wonderful Kelly White, Miss Kelly
Yes,
White. Yeah, so that's going to be August 11th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And again, you guys can get the tickets at vanprog.com. And James, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
yes, I do. So Kelly and I have been doing. She's been helping me out with a lot of the mediumship and the readings we do. Sometimes we do it together, sometimes separate. She's been very nice to join me on those evenings of spirit messages. Which I said, Kelly, you don't have to, but she wants to because she loves the work. She loves it. She loves connecting.
Yeah.
And recently, we've had a lot of people that have come up who are star seeds, and usually it's young people who come from a completely different galaxy place, and they call them star seeds because they're just from this other the galaxy, and they look at things in a very different way. I think they're here as inventors. I think they're going to here
Mm.
they really change the spaces here, and they look at things very differently. Like a 20-year-old could be like a soul of an 80-year-old. I mean, I've seen several of them. John, you have doing the zooms with us.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many old souls. Well, they're old souls plus. So we're going to discuss star seeds, what that means, where they come from, what the characteristics of a star seed are, how you can recognize them if you're actually one.
Hmm.
Star seed doesn't fit into this physical realm, man. It's hard for them, and
Yeah.
they're always the ones that are not. I feel like I don't belong here.
Right.
You know, a lot of us have that, but there's a very strong characteristics that they have. We're going to go through that and how to recognize them and how to work with them.
Yeah,
So
I believe a lot of starseeds aren't typically incarnating on Earth, so that's why it's so challenging, right?
correct,
Yeah, yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yes, they're
So
like the Maverick
right.
souls.
But they make that sacrifice in order to come in to raise the vibration and to be the transmuters of energies. So yeah.
That's right. So they won't fit in on the Earth. They just will not
Right.
fit in. And it's you know, and once you recognize star seeds and they don't fit in, so you know, the more they become more like human and physical, it's harder for them because it's just
Right.
not. So it's a good way to share with people that that's okay to be who you are. That
Hmm.
you might be very telepathic, empathetic, you know, right when you're born, and continue it.
Hmm.
It's to educate people. Yeah, educating them. So we're doing that we have to do that event to educate and inform people of what star seeds are.
Well, Danny will be there. She's all registered, so that's
Good,
great.
good, good, good.
Danita is saying you're a one of a kind, very special gift from heaven,
Thank
James.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janita. Thank you.
Yeah, so here we go. This is going to be interesting. How do you deal with bad energy people that do not want to go?
What does
Do
that mean? Don't
want
want to go.
go
Go
to
where?
you when they are your friend. I think she's just saying, how do you get rid of toxic people out of your life, especially when it's connected to your relatives?
Oh, I've gotten rid of family members. Are you kidding? The
Or
best
in-laws.
ones.
Yeah.
Because it's really a sense of what course is that in, John? Transfer 28-day course?
Yeah, so
No, and it's also in a gift for the highly sensitive, right?
yes, yes,
Yes.
I'll put that link in here as well.
Yeah, because talk all about boundary work. It's really important you have boundary work because you can't force somebody else to love you. No one can love you more than you love yourself. And in some ways, you put yourself in these hard situations that we all do, and we pick families that are going to sometimes rub us the wrong way because families are the number one teachers in us. They teach us. We teach each other. Remember, people are reflections of yourself. And
Right.
when you see that they're not in balance, then what about you is not in balance? And you have to love yourself enough to say that's not acceptable. Even family members, I've had to say it. I've had to say goodbye to some family members, and it was hard. But you know what? You got to love yourself enough to say, that's not working. That's not right for me. It's not that you're an egocentric person. Wow, that was interesting. I heard a bing.
Yeah, I can
It,
hear the
it,
bells
did you
here.
hear that bells? Yeah, actually, that was a phone I had here. Okay,
Okay.
let's turn that off. It's weird. Ding bells. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Let me just turn this off. Okay. So we really got to love ourselves enough to say goodbye. And also by doing that, you're not only bringing empowering yourself, but you're also sharing, you're teaching that person, the people that you're with, that that's unacceptable, that they got to change their behavior, that you're not going to be, that they have to honor you, they have to respect you.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
that's very, very important. And by how you treat them is how you'll teach them sometimes. You got to be what you want. You can't wait for them to come around because they won't. You
mhm.
got to have the power to say, no, not acceptable. And that's it. I've done that a lot lately, and it's been really empowering. And I'm not being mean. I'm just being like I'm standing up for who I am, and that's just who it is. That's the way it is. And if people don't want to do that, a lot of people don't want to do the work. A lot of people don't want to do the work, or they want to blame somebody else. The
Yeah,
blame game would not be responsible for their words and thoughts and actions. Or if they forget their actions, like no, you said that, you did say that, or you did that. No, yeah, you did. I wouldn't be reacting like this if you hadn't. So, and sometimes, like I just lost a friend who she was a bit of a narcissist, and finally I said goodbye, and that was it.
yeah,
And I feel much better because I was very honest. I'm not. I know that as I live my life every day, I'm very mindful of how I treat people. I'm very mindful of my words, and I'm very mindful of how people treat me.
mhm,
And a lot of people don't want to take responsibility. But this one act with my a friend of mine, I said, no, that's it. Can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore. So I said bye bye. That was it. I'm telling you, it's so great when you let people go because then you have room for somebody else at a higher vibration to come
yeah.
in.
Yeah, authenticity and authentic
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
yeah,
Authenticity and responsibility.
yes,
Authentic and
and
responsible.
accountability.
And that's it. That was it.
Yeah,
Accountability.
yeah.
Yeah. And accountability and responsibility. I often
Mhm,
say it's the adult card. They call it the adult
mhm.
card. There. Thanks,
Yes,
validation.
oh, dang.
Uh,
I've been hearing it the whole time. I'm like, I hope that's kept like chimes or something coming from James's office. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
So Tam is saying back to Lionsgate, due to the planet's alignment and all these eclipses and full moons, is there Lionsgate every year? There has
Yes.
been, I believe, since what 2017. The energy's been more intense, though,
More
right?
intense. Yeah, but it happens
Yeah.
every August
Mhm.
in the sign of Leo, which is the heart energy, of
Yeah.
course. Those hearts, so you beat the heart energy. And it's when the alignment of Sirius, star Sirius, is right in alignment with like the middle of Orion's belt. And they say that that is connected, aligned with the spiritual realms and the earth, and it's closer at that point than ever. I think it's even closer than even the Christmas time or those holiday times. I think it's closer. I think it's closer this time. At least I feel that way. Plus, the retrogrades energy too. But I definitely, even the veil being thinner, because my readings on Friday were just so like whoa. And
Yeah.
I know what that's like when I get in that space. But I was much
Mhm.
closer, and it was much easier, and so it's definitely closer now.
I love that. So this
Yeah.
is an interesting question about love. How do you love unconditionally when you feel someone rejects your love?
Ah, that's a good one. So some
Mhm.
rejection, that's fine. So it's a good one. It's an easy one. And that everybody has their stuff, right?
Mhm.
Everybody has their background. Everybody has it from their childhood early on. We don't know what their background might be. We don't know what their childhood was like. We don't know what they were forced to do, to love, to receive. We don't know that. We can love them for who they are. We got to remember that people's background, their history, they might be aware of things, they might not be aware of things. So on this earth, we're thrown into this school, right? This school has baby souls who believe that war and power and money is the way to be successful. And there are other advanced postgraduate souls that believe that healing and love and compassion is and peace is the way it should be. And then there are middle school souls who be, going back and forth. And because we have those scenarios, because we have those levels, you're forced in these different scenarios that people create based upon their beliefs. So
Mhm.
you have to realize that when you're working with somebody, when you someone in your life, you have to love them for where they're at, the level that they're at. You got to love them for where they're at. They might not have any awareness to be a certain way. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm going to use Donald Trump because hello, um, he's at a certain level of awareness. He might not know that he's doing certain things that impact people. He should. He's a president, but still, he might be on a soul level that he's not even aware that he's doing things to influence people. He
Mhm.
might not be aware that he's doing things that'll hurt people, or he doesn't realize that. I don't think he knows that. That's the level he's at. That's just the
Mhm.
level he's at. So, we can judge somebody, even a family member. We can judge them. They can hurt us and hurt us, but they don't know any better. And you can say to them, "I don't like what you're doing," and they won't even hear you because they're unaware of what you're talking about because they only see things through their eyes and their level. So when you speak to them on their level, which is you have to go back and kind of explain to them sometimes on the level that they're at.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting bells and pops and beep. Just gonna throw the
Right.
phone out the door.
So
Um,
on the level they're at.
yeah, there
Mhm.
you go. So meet them at the level that they're at. You got to meet them at the level that they're at of understanding you because you're talking about why don't you love me? They don't want to hear a word you're saying. It's like speaking a foreign language. But if you
Yeah.
speak them on their level and love them for the level that they're at, because that's all they know. The more you advance and expand, the more you're going to see that, and more see souls who are not at that level. And for instance, I this is just a bad example, but I'm going to throw this anyway. There was a lady in a store, Pier One, I think it was, and everywhere in the mask. And there's a little girl, like 7 years old, who didn't have a mask on. It was her daughter. And I wanted to go to the lady and just say, listen, it's not about the girl, it's about everybody else. So she needs to cover her face because everybody else, it's not about you, it's about us, it's about all
Mhm.
of us. And that's
Mhm.
really true, but she might not even be aware of that. So I was going to say it in a very gentle way, but she went out the store right away, which is great. But
Mhm.
again, when you go to people and talk to them, you don't harsh them, judge them, just speak gently to them and try to get on the level that they're at, and see whether that's why that art of discovery is so important,
Mhm.
and the psychology is very important. And you're not any better or worse, you're just helping them out. And
Mhm.
maybe you can just plant a little bit of seeds in their awareness that, oh, and next time you won't do certain things or behave a different way. And it's not up to you to change people's lives. It's not up to you to force them to be enlightenment. It's for
Mhm.
you to be the example. And but you have to love yourself enough to tell them this is unacceptable.
Mhm. To set that boundary, yeah.
Set
So
the boundary.
Libby is asking, this is an interesting question about mirroring. So toxic people are a reflection of ourselves, and saying goodbye to them says goodbye to that part of us?
Yeah, so let's say people are reflections, exactly what we are, the reflections of self, right?
Mhm.
So what within ourselves is toxic? What within ourselves is not in balance? What
Mhm.
within ourselves needs to be looked at? So we say that we're toxic. What in ourselves is not in fullness of being?
Mhm.
So that's the way we can look at it. Hold on one second, John. I'm gonna read something. I just found it yesterday. Hold
Okay.
on.
Sure. So, in covering the shadow, and we've talked a lot about that, and this is a really good time for looking at our shadow selves. And there's some really good information at JVP School of Mystical Arts, folks. So, do you want to go to check that out? It's JVP School of Mystical Arts.com. There's a keyword search there, so you can pretty much type in any keyword that you're looking for, and a course will pop up that has that content. And so, for instance, you're looking for guides, you're looking for mediumship, you're looking for psychic portals, just type in the keywords and then they'll come up.
Things are falling down. Things are falling down all over the place.
So,
Bang.
inspiration struck. So, you have something for us there, James?
Yes, so this is my rules for being human, which I found out, which I
Oh,
love this. So listen to this one. You'll receive a body. You may like it or hate it, but it'll be yours for the entire period this time around. You will learn lessons. You enrolled in a full-time informal school called life. Each day in this school, you will have the opportunity to learn lessons. You may like the lessons or think they're irrelevant and stupid. There are no mistakes, only lessons. Remember that there are no mistakes, only lessons. Growth is a process of trial and error, experimentation. The failed experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiment that ultimately works. A lesson is repeated until learned. A lesson will be presented to you in various forms until you have learned it. When you have learned it, you can go on to the next lesson. Learning lessons never ends. A lesson will be presented to you in various forms until you have learned it. Okay. There is no part of life that does not contain its lessons. If you are alive, there are lessons to be learned. There is no better than here when you're there and has become a wait, let me repeat this. There is no better than here. When you're there has become a here, you will simply obtain another there that will again look a better than here,
Oh, wow. Okay,
right?
so the
Uh,
grass isn't greener on the other side.
right. And now
Okay.
others are merely mirrors of you. You cannot love or hate something about another person unless it reflects to you something about you love or hate about yourself. What you make of your life is up to you. You have all the tools and resources you need. What you do with them is up to you. The choice is yours. Your answers lie inside you. The answers to life's questions lie inside you. All you need is to look, listen, and trust.
Mm.
You
Wow.
will, you will forget all about this, Anonymous. This
So
is
those
rules for being human. It's called
yeah,
rules for being human.
wow. Huh. Basically, life is a school with
Yeah, what did you discover? It's all a
intricate
discovery.
lessons.
And it's all intricate. It's all like a matrix, and it's all very interesting because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
But I liked that observation where you're just looking around and seeing above you and around you, and I love that because it's like I always say a kaleidoscope. It is like a kaleidoscope. Always things changing in forms and colors and meanings and impressions and
Mm.
emotions. It's great.
Yeah. So earlier when you were going to get that, I mentioned a little bit about shadow work, and this is a great time to be doing that because of all the planets going on in retrogrades. So
So yeah,
yeah,
shadows come out of your being. Everybody, I was very fortunate to work with one of my best friends, Debbie Ford,
yeah,
the shadow process,
yeah,
and that's she was just some great work. So you should look up
right.
shadow process with Debbie Ford because that was some great work. Everybody has a shadow side, no doubt.
Mhm.
My moon is in 12th house, which is the unconscious, and so anything in the unconscious, which Dana says is your back body, which I love. The unconscious is your back. So what are you holding on to in the back?
Oh,
What
okay.
what have you not dealt with? That's the unconscious. So now is a good time, as you said, to bring the unconscious into the conscious. So
Mhm.
bring all that stuff that you're not looking at into the light, from the dark into the light. Now is the perfect time.
Love that.
Mm.
Yeah, so let's see here. Well, it's interesting because Kim, he just did that. Can you share the rules to being human? Well, I think she means can you post it somewhere? Maybe you can post it on the page
Yeah,
or
it's on the internet, and you just got to Google it. It's right
okay.
there.
All
Yeah.
right. All right.
I
So
mean, it's where I got it from. Well, no, I got it from an old friend of my metaphysical teacher, and I opened up. She died, and I left. She left me a bunch of stuff, and when she left me books, and I found this in the box, and she died like 7 years ago, and I just opened the box recently, and this was in there. She taught metaphysics for 30 years, and this was in there. Rules of being human. So love that.
mhm, love that. So your birthday's coming up?
Is it? Yes, it is. 23rd. Yes, it is.
Yes.
I've already been telling people I was 62 like in January. So, yeah, birthday. Yes, markation of entering the physical, I guess.
Leveling up. I think every birthday we get to level up in some
Leveling
way.
up, that's great,
Yeah.
John, leveling up, I like that.
I'm a video gamer, so it's kinda like that whole thing when you you level up in different levels,
Well,
but
okay, so you're
each birthday.
you're talking to someone who has no idea what you're talking about, but I like the word leveling up, I like the gamer thing, to a point,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Alright, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and talk about clairaudience. How do I get clairaudience better? I hear spirits, but their voices are faint. I cannot make out what they're saying. This is coming from Darcy.
Well, Darcy, the more you try and the harder you go for it, the less it'll happen because when you was like, I got to hear you, I got to hear you, it can't do that. So really what you need to do is surrendering more. Again, I'd push you in the closet as they sit in the quiet, sit in the stillness of your being. And as sitting in the stillness and working just with the breath, it's a passive meditation. It's a passive sense of just sitting there and they'll come to you. But that would be a good way for you to work because it's very subtle. It's like
Mhm,
landing a feather on your hand. That's how subtle it is. The more
mhm,
you force it, the more it won't work because it's a very subtle signal that you get. Remember, in clairaudience, as in all types of communication, there's a wave of energy, a sound wave that goes up and then down. So it's waves. And a clairaudient person wants to really be able to, with a peak of communications coming in, they can expand that psychic ear and
mhm,
hear at the peak. And that's when you get the experience. That's when you hear them. So you have to learn how to be more surrendering to the peak and listening clearly, and then going down and let it, and then you won't hear anything, and listening, letting those peaks drop down to the valleys. And the valley is just a waiting period of building up. Then you'll get to the peak again. So learning about the sound waves, how they actually work, would be helpful to you. And sitting in the quiet really help.
Okay. So this is an interesting question. I think a lot of us feel this way. Lori says, "Is it possible to come to Earth School at the wrong time?"
That's interesting. I have different belief systems on this. One I would say, because many suicides I've worked with in the past, they've said
Right.
we have free will choice to come in when we want to. We're advised a certain be the best time for us to incarnate. What is the exact best time? But there are some souls that just, from what I've heard, are just jump right in because they want to get things done. And we find that some of those souls never feel that they're completely in alignment with the time and the rhythm of life and
Mhm.
end up with suicides. A lot of them. My cousin was like that. She explained that to me that way. She just rushed right through. So I would say yes to that. Then if someone else would say everything is divinely led. Well, yes, I do believe that too, but there could be choice involved. So I would say yes to that.
Mm, got it. Okay. Let's see here. I, some of these are really funny. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more about what is our shadow side.
What is our shadow side? So, I'm not an expert on it. So I'm going to say, refer to Debbie Ford about that. John, you probably know more about it than I do.
Well,
Go on, John.
no, it's really it's the parts of ourselves that need love and light. It's really it's the parts of ourselves I think that we um, feel guilty about. It's the parts of ourselves that we feel like, that come out in times when we're not at our best, or when we're not, let's say, feeling as strong spiritually. Let's put it that way.
And it
Yeah,
does manifest many times in addictions.
yeah,
Comes out with addictions, whether it's
yeah,
emotional addictions, chemical addictions, addictions to codependent relationships,
yeah.
anger, rage, being not fulfilled,
Hmm.
wrath, screaming about that,
Triggers.
abuse issues, triggers,
Mhm.
triggers,
Yeah,
and it's stuff we're kind of hiding down, we're putting down, and it's very, like I said before, the analogy of your back or the unconscious. It's something not dealing with coming to the surface, and
right.
now is the perfect time to bring that stuff out and heal it because you don't want to go around letting that influence you in your whole life. You want to bring the shadow side to the front. But everybody has a shadow side, no
Sure.
doubt about it.
Hmm.
Everybody has a shadow side they don't deal with, that they don't, that bring to the surface. Now is a perfect time to deal with that,
Hmm.
because right now, whether it's Uranus or Jupiter, and it's an opening of that which is hidden.
Right.
I think it's Neptune too. That was in the surf. That was hidden down below comes to the surface to be healed, and the light is on everyone. The light is on everything. So things are going to be illuminated. Now is the perfect time for it. And yeah, no one can hold secrets right now. Not with this Neptune, the retrograde, can't do it.
Hmm.
So no secrets. People see your secrets. People try. I know, like not many, but a couple of people or something try to tell me something, and I'm like, excuse me. I see the energy. Who you're talking to? You know who I am. I can see the energy. How could you say that, which is false? Like, see why you
Yeah.
behave that way. That's not who you are. And I call them on their shit. I do.
Yeah.
I call them. I
Yeah.
have to. And
Hmm.
now that I'm turning 62, I just get a sense. Really, I'm too old for BS. I can't anymore. No, people
Right.
got to be honest and true, and don't waste the energy and don't waste the time. Be authentic. A lot of
Yeah.
people are afraid against fear based, so we got to remember that fear holds a
Mhm.
lot of people back from being truthful. And fear, the worst thing you can do is fear is be fearful. I mean, you don't want to hold on to fear because that again upsets the integrity of the body, of the chemistry of the body, the energetically part of the body, and you're not in balance or imbalance. When fear creates imbalance in the body, so you don't want that. That's why it's just so hard right now out there. And that's what I'm saying. Use love for everybody you interact with because that's your natural vibration. Fear is not.
Yeah. So
So,
Jennifer was asking, is it the inner child? I believe it's partly that because of the trauma, right?
Yes, you can see the inner child from, definitely the inner child. I mean, I work a lot with the inner child with the traumatic work and,
Mhm.
going back into your childhood and seeing what was that not satisfied? Would you not receive the love that you wanted? I thought it was a pretty great movie and it's called A Family Affair. It's on Netflix and it's my one friend liked it, my other friend did not. And I was like, it's about this woman in South Africa and she's a certain narcissistic way. And you're like, something's about it, like what's going on? And it's layers and layers and layers. I'm not going to tell everybody what it is because I don't want to ruin it, but it's layers and layers and layers of stuff. And all
Mhm.
I can say, it was the one movie. The reason I liked it was because it really showed me what I've heard from the spirit world forever. When I've brought through parents who say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I didn't know how to love you, that's why you didn't receive love. And I heard that. But this movie shows this whole experience of how people are affected from their childhood when they don't receive love. It's really
Wow.
an interesting movie, A Family Affair. It's a shot, okay, it's from a guy in Holland, not an
Mhm.
ex professional, but I like the message of it. And it can, yeah, it's interesting movie, very fascinating.
So the ripple effect really, huh?
The ripple effect, and from
Mhm.
generation to generation to generation. And
Generational.
we got to be the generation that stops the addiction,
Yes.
stops the non-love, stops the emotional blackmailing, all that. We got to stop that.
Yeah.
Been called to. That's why you're here, right? Why you're on this call. You're aware. You're aware to a certain level that you can stop it. That you're responsible. There are so many people walking out there who are asleep, and really we're awake. We're aware of these things, so we got to help them. Can't force it, but you got to be that what you want.
Well, this is really interesting along those lines about ancestors. How do we connect with ancestors, or how do we know which ancestor wants to work with us for our highest good?
Well, Maria, that's interesting. Why wouldn't they want to work with you for your highest good, first of all, right? And
Yes,
and
I
when they
would
pass to
agree.
that spirit world, the
Yeah.
consciousness expands. So they would many times want us to live out what they could not live out. Things that we they couldn't in their time or generation that maybe they started and we have to end, or maybe they couldn't love or they couldn't believe in themselves, and we have the opportunity to do that.
Hmm.
So again, you could work. I believe your ancestors work with you all the time. I really do. I believe many of them are your guides because remember we come back in soul groups and they are part of your soul group. They've experienced life in another time, but you are part of that soul group. So you'll learn it if they haven't, and you'll help them. We assist each other. So just know it, looking at it that way, that's how it is. We assist each other. It isn't a sense of if they're going to help us or not. They're with us. They are helping. They're evolving your soul group. That's the best way to say it. I don't get that says it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Very true. And so let's see here. We have
How many people are on a call right now, John?
over 566, and they're
Oh,
coming from
great.
YouTube and Facebook. So
Oh,
yeah.
thanks,
So
kids. Wow, that's
so
great.
yeah. So Samira's saying many people are dealing with addictions that ruins lives. Do you have any insights on this topic that would help people get through it, especially for people that are sensitive to energy and have a hard time with detoxing because energies are just so overwhelming?
Well, that's giving your power away right there. Just saying it that way. It's
Mm,
overwhelming. Well, you're better than that. It's only overwhelming if you think it's overwhelming. It's not overwhelming because you're in control, right?
mhm,
So that's the first step. This is a planet of addictions. This is a school of addictions. This is a place you come back to get rid of addictions. So what you have to do is to self discovery. In that when we go back to the addictions, whether it's a codependent relationship, whether it's a chemical addictive, whether it's a emotional, mental addiction, there's all of them. We have to go ask ourselves, what is it that we're not satisfied with within ourselves? Why do I keep on why is this behavior keep on repeating itself? What within myself is not loved, is not in wholeness of being?
mhm,
What is it? And that's something which you got to look at right now. Now's the time to look at that. So I looked at it and I realized that I was in a codependent relationship and I had to get rid of that, and I did. And after 23 years, I did. It served its purpose, but I can't be that way anymore. I can't do it. Um, I find sugar also addictive. Really, I try to get rid of that, and it's a hard one
mhm,
because we're human beings too. So I would say moderation is the key. Um, but that's really what it's about. So addictive, you have to look into that discovery of why you're holding on to the addiction. What is it? What is it giving you? What is it? What is the illusion that you're holding on to?
mhm,
A lot of addictions, too, by the way, are escapisms, in that the person can't deal with the truth because they run into the addiction, so they get hidden in the addiction, so they have to face it. And many times it's the sensitive person, the empaths and the sensitives, who tend to be addictive personalities. In that, the energy is so strong that sometimes they just want to get a drink or whatever, drugs, drink, or whatever, or a relationship, whatever it might be, that hides that. That it's escapism. It's
right,
escapism, so I don't have to deal with the truth or what it is. But
right.
again, maybe it's fear based. So I have to go to the illusionary world. Now, John, you know all about this because
Yeah.
you're a Pisces. So
Yes.
Pisces, being a psychic sign, is a sensitive person, and in that, they're
Mhm,
not many of the earth. Their feet are not in the earth many times. They should be. If they're properly grounded, they should be. But it's hard for Pisces because they're so sensitive. Their heads are in the clouds, and they want to help and help and help. That they've got to be careful because it's a sign of addictions for Pisces.
yeah.
So that's a tough one for them. And I get it because I have a Pisces overlay, I have a Scorpio overlay in my chart, so I get it. I've been around it, and we all grew up with addictions. My mother has an addiction to alcohol. Years later, I found that the reason she drank was because she said, your father never gave the emotional connection I needed, so I
Mm,
couldn't handle it, so I drank." So again, not being centered, not being present of what it was, and it's up to this generation of us now, if we choose, to look into that addiction and say no more, if we want.
right. It's interesting you mentioned Pisces aren't grounded, but yet You
They
often say that
can be
Pisces
grounded.
roll the feet, so why aren't we
Isn't
grounded?
that wild? Yeah, Pisces rules the feet, so it's really interesting. And, well, that's an interesting one because Pisces
Yeah.
rules the feet. So I've been told once, I thought it was a very good explanation, that the bottom of the feet, of course, are all chakra points, right?
Uh-huh.
So when we walk on the earth, when Pisces walk on the earth, they're sensitive in that they pick up everyone's energy from the earth. They pick up
Mm.
all that energy, so they're ultra sensitive. So that's why they want to go off and not be so
So it's
sensitive.
escapism like you were talking.
Escapism. It's
Yeah,
escapism. Yeah.
okay, got it. Well, Kim is asking here, let's see, what is the best way to help our young children learn how to connect? Is there anything special?
Sure. I wrote a book called Looking Beyond, and it's a really good book for parents teaching children about sensitivity, intuition, and you have to honor them. So it's a great book about all of that. It's still in print. It's a good book.
Okay.
So it's really letting them be who they are. It's honoring their souls, not judging their souls, empowering them, not spoiling them, empowering them. There's going to be boundaries, good manners, right?
Mhm.
Nowadays, I just see parents give kids a device that thinks that's parenting. It's not parenting. It's going to hurt them because it's going to be a social problem later on. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. I actually think something in the brain's going to change with kids because they're on devices. I really do. There's an emptiness there of the brain when they're not getting fulfilled with that sociability. I just can't think of the day. So be part of their lives. Don't just give them to a device, and let them empower them, and but don't spoil them and empower them.
Mhm. Okay. Wow. So we are 55 minutes in, James,
Okay.
and we have several more questions coming
Okay.
in.
Well, a couple more questions. Sure.
All right.
And then I
So
got to rest up because I'm working out.
I know. Let's see here. All right. So wow, we got a lot of Pisces in the audience.
Of course we would. It's a psychic
Yeah.
sign. They'd be
Right.
attracted to this. Yes.
Right. Okay. So let's see here. I'm trying to find some more. Um. Well, Elena is saying, what if you know the reason for your addiction and that is why you are at it because you couldn't find the way to change the situation that led to addiction or some destructive habits?
Oh, that's very very linear way of thinking. That this it sounds like
Mhm,
it's only one way of thinking. So you got
mhm,
to explore the other ways. You got to explore ways you haven't thought about. I think that NAAA, I think it's great. That they explore different levels of. I use a lot of these 12 steps in my work. I did the philosophies very much similar to 12-step programs. So it's our discovery. It's loving yourself enough.
mhm,
Alina, to go into that level of why is this happening, and again, if it's let's say, for instance, just using an analogy here, let's say my father didn't love me when I was a kid, didn't give me self-worth, and that's where the addiction came. I didn't want to deal with the pain of that, the trauma. Many addictions are tied into traumatic events. No
yeah,
doubt, many of them are. So I would go and explore what that is, and why are we holding ourselves back from that love of self by using that addiction? And addiction becomes what is an addiction. You get used to using that because it's satisfying on a peripheral level, not on a deep level, but it's a
mhm,
peripheral level, not having to deal with our stuff. It keeps us away from truth.
yeah,
So I think it's just wanting to explore and love yourself enough that I'm going to go explore why is this addiction happening. Now, also addictions can be chemically involved in the body, so there might be a makeup in the physical body or the mental body that there's this feeling of I have to have that. I'm raised with a pedigree of alcoholism, so I would be a tendency, and the male child of a female mother who's alcohol is very tendency to be open to that. So I have to be very aware of that, and I have been. Um, and I got to be careful of drinking, which is there, and addictive behavior. So, and I'm aware of it, which is good because the first step of healing is awareness. So I'm very aware that I can only have one glass of wine if I want, and that's really it. And sometimes it's interesting with alcohol or maybe chemical with drug things that
mhm,
the body is allergic to it, and many times alcoholism is an allergic reaction to the physical body. I've heard that. I'm not a
mm,
doctor, but I've heard that. That's very interesting as well. So we
yeah,
tend to bring back into the incarnation again heritage from lineage from other ancestors from other generations to heal them at this time, but there's a tendency in inherit behaviors that we've inherited through our genetics that we are there present, and we got to be aware of that because that could be our downfall, and we want to just make sure that it isn't, and we want to take hold and be responsible and do whatever we have to make sure that we get a hold of that addiction and do something with it,
right,
but that's a therapy or a 12 step. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because Kim is saying, a dog once asked me, why can't humans just show up and be who they are? Why do they wear all these different masks? So true. Our animal companions are so wise.
Yes, and I would say the animals already know that. The
Mhm,
reason why they wouldn't ask us because they already know it. But,
mhm,
yeah, I mean, animals I mean, I'm doing an animal course this month, and animals are just so I just say unconditional love. They're just knowledge. They're teachers. They're wise. My girl is with me all the time here. She doesn't leave my step, and I don't leave her step. And this is a codependent relationship. It certainly is. And when she goes, I want to go. And
oh,
that's yeah. It's just I just so much love they share with us. And if you can look for a day, be like an animal and look at the world as an animal would. Take the eyes of an animal. Let's say a dog, and
mhm,
look at the world as a dog does. And you'll see that there's unconditional love no matter what because they see humans as this, this complicated thing, energy thing, and it's all just so involved with I know. I think about a lot with growing up in the circumstance we grew up with, and the environment we had, and how that, like that movie I said, A Family Affair. You should watch it. It's
mhm,
how we're nurtured or we're not nurtured, how we're led to believe, help to believe in ourselves or not. I think personally, for me, I came into this world with a sense of self. I really did. I think I came here. I know I did because I just at age 3, I told my mother I'm moving to California. I didn't know what California was, but someone mentioned it in our walking to nursery school. And I
mhm,
came home after and said, I like California. I'm going to live there one day. I had no idea what it was. She goes, why would you say that? I said, I just know California. I just always had a sense of myself. I always had a
mhm,
sense of I just always have. I think we come in with that or we don't. I think it can be nurtured or not. And but now that everyone's here with me, it's great in a time that it's time now that I can be aware that they are beautiful and loving and perfect, no matter who they think they are. It's who they are, not what they think they are.
yeah. Wow, this is a really good question, and this is something that concerns me too because, we've had an epidemic of loneliness and
And depression.
and depression, but especially now with COVID, it's really
Yeah.
interesting to see how that has been exacerbated. So, Lori is saying, "Why can a soul be lonely when there's so many of us around?"
Well, there you go. Now, isn't that great? Because they don't have a sense of who they can be lonely because they don't have a sense of being with themselves. They don't love themselves. They don't have a good time with being. First, they got to be connected with themselves and have a relationship with themselves,
Right.
and that's the first step. So they first have that before they can't use you around you not unless they first can be with themselves. So I call it solid being in solitude. Maybe
Mhm,
it's because of work I've done and developed all these years sitting in the quiet, but I love being in solitude. I love being by myself. I am my best audience. I really am. I laugh at myself every day. And I
yeah,
think you gotta have that sense of self and that sense of loving yourself and trusting yourself. And that's just who you are. And nobody can love you more than you love yourself. And listen,
mhm,
nobody got me the moment I was born. Nobody still gets me fully. They don't know who I am. It just they like, oh, and then they have these perceptions of me. It's like
mhm,
that's not who I am. And it's so funny, but you just gotta be who you are. And
yeah,
we're on this road also to find out about who we are. But in the meantime, enjoy yourself and find something within yourself you can laugh at and love because
mhm,
you're stuck with yourself for the rest of this time. And again, don't ever try to please other people. You can't please other people.
mm,
Don't fall into that trap, and don't fall into unrealistic expectations. A lot of us place unrealistic expectation on other people. It
mhm,
goes back to what I was talking about before that you got to meet them where they're at. Because I got into that whole thing, and it taught me a big lesson. And it took
yeah,
30 years that what you cannot have expectations of others because they can't meet that necessarily.
mm,
So don't get caught up in that. So have a relationship with yourself and enjoy yourself. And this is a great time right now with this pandemic to go into self. I told it the very first day when I did SoulCARE the first time, said it's a time that they were saying stay at home, go stay at home. And to me, that meant go home in your soul, go into your
mhm,
soul
yeah,
and start having that relationship with your soul, finding who you are, what activates that soul, what makes you feel love and happiness, and what doesn't. And that's really the relationship you should be having right now. Finding
yeah,
out who you are. Again, whether people think it is none of your business, who you are. And it might be very different who you thought you were. So it's
mhm,
a great time to do that assessment. Now is
yeah,
the time.
as Kelly often says, "Know thyself, know
Know
thyself."
thyself, be true.
Yes,
It's very
yes.
Shakespearean. Yeah.
So so James, would you identify yourself as being a introvert,
Oh
extrovert,
yeah. I'm
or
an introvert.
ambivert?
I'm an introvert. Even on the test, there's a psychology test. I forgot
Yeah,
the name of it. I was an introvert. Yeah, I'm
me
an
too.
introvert. I'm very shy.
Yeah,
I know
me
it's very hard for people to understand that, but I'm very, very shy. And
yeah,
it's really when I do the work, when I'm working with people in the audience or doing book signings and
yeah,
Um, I'm very outgoing, and I have 4 planets in Leo, so I can be outgoing. My
yeah,
Mercury, which is communication, is in Leo, so Leo is a showman, so I can be that showman and have a
uh-huh,
good sense of humor, which I do. But I really like being quiet, and I do like. I think I just love that sense of being with myself and creating, that creating energy. I mean, I have so many talents in that, whether I'm an artist, whether I'm a designer, whether I'm a singer, whether I'm a playwright, whether I'm an author, whether I'm mediumship, whether I do legal stuff as well. I mean, there's
Mhm.
so many different things that
Yeah.
I'm never bored. There's always something. And I always get the fact that, life is very, very short. As
Yeah.
Spirit said, life is very, very short. And before you know it's going to be over. And you want to look back at your life, be very proud of life you lived, and you don't waste time. I
Mm,
wrote a book called Unfinished Business, and it's a great, great book. In that, I for many years I was working with the spirit world. I think it was maybe in my 25th, 20, around my late 20 years, and I used demonstrations every month and readings, and I was so tired. I was so tired of hearing spirits say, "If only I knew then what I know now." And well, guys, I shouldn't have any shouldas, wouldas, or couldas. So I
mm,
wrote that book to tell people this is what you want to finish up. You don't want to bring any unfinished business to the other side, because on the other side, you got to deal with it. It's that mental vibration, and you got to be present with it. So if you don't deal with it here, like forgive people, like honor people, empower yourself, love others, you're gonna have to deal with it when you pass over, and that's harder than here because it's a
mm,
very mental vibration, and you repeat it over and over and over again in your head. So make sure you finish your stuff up here and love yourself enough so when you get over to the other side, you don't have to work. You're like, oh, good, I worked already. I don't have to work again. Because you don't want to have to work again. You don't want to. We all say, "I want to come back to this world again. I don't do this over." Well, guess what? When you go
yeah.
to the spirit world and you have resolved things, there's unfinished business. You're going to be working harder than here.
Wow.
Sorry, I know don't paint a rosy picture. I'm just being practical and realistic. I know this very much because I've done this for 40 years. You got to take responsibility here and now, and you got to finish everything up here and now. You do not want to bring it over with you, including addictions. That can be really bad when you go over because it's still in the mental body. You're still mentally thinking of these addictions. So you want to be able to deal with that here and finish things up here. So
I
on
think
that note, I finished this phone call.
I think so, James. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you,
and
John. Thank you, everybody. That was great. Really, really great
yeah,
information. And John, this will be on YouTube. Yep. Thank you,
yes.
everybody on
So
YouTube.
we are simulcasting to YouTube and Facebook right now, so it is
Oh, great.
available right after. Yes,
Great.
it'll be available immediately. Yeah.
Great. And I'll see you all on Saturday. We'll have that information on eventprog.com this
Yes,
afternoon,
we will.
probably. So
Definitely.
great.
All right, great. Thank you so much, James.
Thanks, John.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody. God
Take care,
bless.
everybody.
Live it out. Live it out. Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.